would all join me to the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kate, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Gilbert?
Here.
Ms. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Holchanski?
Here.
Mrs. Vanderwater?
Here.
Ms. Leftian?
Here.
Mr. Tupper? Ms. Stevens?
Okay. First, we will entertain a motion to approve the special meeting minutes from March 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Bob, any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion granted. Citizens' comments. Has anyone signed in with the clerk?
So, Andrew Bowes, 116 Hunter Drive. This is relative to the solar moratorium and the community development plans that we're kind of thinking about having to do.
You want to grab the microphone?
Think so?
I think so, just for our video.
We don't. So,
Okay.
be that as it may. So, I want to talk about something that's actually in Australia. It's taken root very, very strongly in Australia. Australia is very, very far ahead of the rest of the world in the deployment of solar batteries, and the grid, electrical grid, and transitioning to all electrical grids. They are far ahead of everybody. One of the things that is coming, I strongly believe, and has potential for very high density, are small, mini electrical substations. Think a couple of tractor-trailer cubes next to each other with related equipment, all over the place. As you think about it, take my neighborhood, 2 or 3 of them to do my neighborhood. Fine, all right, but that's density. So you have to think about what the future, how that might look. You might want to have enclosures for them, fencing, stream fencing, because it's coming. It's part of that whole infrastructure. So when you're thinking about the solar stuff, there's going to be a lot more battery stuff, because there's the fire departments and access to these things, even if it's a small one. I mean, just 2 tractor trailers size parked next to each other. You can fit those all over the place. That's the design, and that's why they're being very successfully employed. So there's that. Also to the development side, the community planning thing. We talked previously, a couple years ago, about dark sky lighting for streetlights, and it already is that way. That's what's being employed. But I think, and I'd like to have the board consider enhancing existing code, because there is some stuff there, all right, that's already there about site lighting and things like that. But there's a lot of advancements that have come in site lighting, so good site lighting design for all commercial buildings. It should be somehow enhanced in the code that's attached to it. For commercial buildings, small apartment buildings, even 2 families, for instance. And this comes out of my interest in dark skies. In fact, that across the river is an example, and I realize that's not the town on the other side of the river from me. Some of those lights light up my living room at night because I'm elevated. There's nothing blocking. I got a straight shot. Now, we've got a development coming up on Kriegel Farms. Those kinds of considerations should be taken in for housing as well, under some kind of conditions. I mean, yeah, you can make laws for every little house and things like that, but advisories for houses at least, for that kind of stuff. You know, and it's a little bit on the green side because excess stray light is not great for the environment anyways. Land animals and things like that, nocturnal sleepers. I mean, heck, my mom's gone around and put tape over every little blue LED in the house. There's a piece of tape on everything. Okay, my uncle, my grandfather the same way. They did the same thing. So there's something to that. But I really think that there's probably some enhancements, more modern considerations. So also under lighting, specifically, one of the considerations that I was amazed about when I was doing some research and learning about it was glare. glare is an amazingly dangerous thing when there's too much lighting. Too much lighting can be just as bad as not enough, if not worse, because of the cutoff between black and white. If I were to take a super bright light and shine it that way, that hallway's dark, and there could be somebody standing there with a knife and you would not possibly be able to see him because of the glare factor. It's a thing with cars and things too as well, and I realize cars are beyond that. But for site design, that should be considered. Kelvin, which is the color of the lighting. From a town perspective, uniformity is good. Whatever it may be. I'm sure there's a right answer. There's a lot of smart people out there that are smarter than me. But there is something that possibly could enhance the code that ought to be thought about. I mean, you think about the electric signs that are proliferating all over the place and stuff we've had to talk about on that.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The uniformity in lighting kind of makes me think of when you have Christmas lights, and some of them are the white, and some of them are the yellow, and it all looks
Okay.
off, but you're right.
Ellsworth, they got a big Christmas tree, right? On the other side of the creek, that big metal one. They had on like a random flashing design. What is it? Epilepsy. Blinking lights is very sensitive to people that have epilepsy. It's terrible. And it was one of those things, you get dizzy looking at it, and it's right there next to the road. I know, family talked about it. He says, you look at it, he says, yeah, you're right. You changed it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Kate, has anyone else signed in? Oh. Well, anyone else looking to address the board? No? Then we'll close citizens' comments.
Carrie, anything?
I think this gentleman signed in to speak. Did you sign in to speak?
Yeah, he was ahead of me, so I thought he'd speak, but I think he's passing to me, if that's okay.
Sure.
My name's Kevin Bliss. I live not in the town, Madison County, if that's good enough.
Sure.
I work for an energy company, it's called RIC Energy, and I was just curious to find out what else is going on. We've been talking informally and directly with the town for over a year now, just waiting, and this additional delay does cost us money, but what's more important is that you're happy with your code and the town will certify you, so we're not going to say, please don't do it. Far from it. We're going to say we like good, strong solar codes because it keeps everybody on an even playing field. And we're in the business of solar, renewable energy, because we're environmentalists and you are trying to protect your environment, your resources and everything else, and we support that. That said, a couple thoughts came to mind. If you're going to change the code, if that's part of what comes out of the moratorium, right now, you got a 200-foot setback from water, and maybe that's appropriate, but it's hard to really understand what it means as a developer, because there's streams in every field almost, or some form of water. So if water means the Seneca River, you're probably going to be farther back than that. But if it means a stream this wide, our solar isn't going to have any effect on that, or vice versa whatsoever.
Everybody's qualification of what water is a huge national problem. Water in the U.S. is a huge problem for everybody, so yeah, no doubt about it.
I have a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in water resource management. Bingo, you're 100% right, but it's a problem worth mentioning today relative to that reason. So that was one thing I just thought I'd mention. And other than that, the last comments were all good. My daughter's an environmental planner in Australia. She works for the state government there. And she's working on regulations. The guy next to her does the solar. She does other things, but they mingle. The smaller stuff going on there, and they are pretty advanced in a lot of ways. But I wasn't real sure about the point being made. I should probably clarify that later. But my point relative to it is the solar battery storage is about that size now. It'll say 2 tractor trailers. But I don't know of anything that's producing energy that's other than like a single house that can get smaller than what we're doing now. We've gotten more efficient, smaller. But if there's a thought of solar farms should be in the neighborhood of 2 tractor trailer sizes, that'll help a couple of houses at best. So just a thought there. Air and lighting, I support everything there. There hasn't been too big a problem, and when it is, we screen and avoid and do other things or cite it elsewhere. So it's an issue, but we'll take it seriously and deal with it. Other than that, the last thing I'd mention is, you might say, oh, you're biased, but my company and I have helped other towns with developing codes because we give the insight and objective point of view that I think is important. The stakeholders, the industry at large has an interest in both developing solar where it's appropriate, but also in making sure that the codes are good for you too. So in some instances where things have come up, and I've been sitting in with the committees that were developing codes for the towns, they would ask my opinion and I'd give it to them, and it truly was very helpful. So what I would offer is if you had any questions or an ability for an outsider to ever sit in and listen and maybe offer an opinion, I'd be happy to do that if there's an opportunity to allow for it.
I was actually going to suggest that if there are things that you see in our code that are not well defined or problematic, or it doesn't have to be necessarily your perspective as being in the business, but just someone who's reviewed a bunch of codes over the years, feel free to email the supervisor. I mean, we're in the process of compiling what needs to be tweaked in our current code, and I think that would be helpful. So.
Okay. I looked at the code. I didn't scrutinize it, but there were a couple things, so I'll take advantage of that offer. Thank you for it.
Sure. Thank you.
Have a business card by any chance?
Yeah.
I do, yes. And for what it's worth, if it's worth anything, sometimes it backfires. I was a state permit administrator for DEC and environmental analyst, head of the Buren Habitat. So what you guys do, I commend you. I even used to work in local planning. But I also understand what you're doing. I've worked with a lot of towns for 35 years as a person on your side of the table, sort of.
Well, none of us are have the background for solar, so anything we can learn from anybody we appreciate for sure. And again, if there's anything in our current code that you think could be problematic or needs to be expanded on, we're definitely welcoming any suggestions you have, because we just don't have that background and want to make sure that the codes that we have in place are for our benefit. So thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing for it. Appreciate you too.
If there are no other citizens' comments, I'll open the public hearing on proposed local law C 2023 extending the solar moratorium for an additional 6 months.
So moved.
Second.
I'll just say that, obviously we have a law on our books, and we have a couple farms that have already become established in the town, but we realized that we needed to make some changes. And so that's kind of the reason for the moratorium. And we thought we would be able to do it in conjunction with our comprehensive plan, but that kind of got put on hold too. So now we're going to take up the solar and then incorporate that into the comp plan as we move forward through this year. So I think this should be the last time we have to extend this. I shouldn't promise that probably, but I'm hopeful that we're close to where we can get the committee together and start just, it's not large sweeping. We already have a law and it just needs a few finite changes. So that's why I welcome suggestions from the end user that has to then live within the law. Because if there's something in there that's ambiguous, that's not helpful either. So I will open it up if anyone wants to speak for the proposed moratorium first. Is there anyone that wants to speak against the moratorium? Okay, seeing no comments, I will close the public hearing. And we'll move right to item 2, which is consider adoption of local law C, which is extending the solar moratorium for 6 months. Can I get a motion?
I'll move that.
Jenny?
Second.
Second by Wendy. Any other further discussion from the board?
So I'll just chime in that One of the things for me, as I just said, I don't have a background in solar. I mean, we can look to Australia for some guidance. We can look to our own county planning for some guidance on this. My biggest thing is decommissioning. What's that going to look like in 20, 25 years when the solar farm decommissions? Where are all the panels going to go? How do you throw them away? How do you throw away those tractor trailers and batteries? How long does it take for the ground to refresh and enrich so those grounds are usable again? So those are some questions that I have on this whole solar process, and I just, really want to dig in and find some good answers or some good research that will give me those answers before we continue with this.
Thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Nadine. Roll call vote. I said that earlier, right, Kate?
Yes. Even have my note. Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Vanderwater?
Yes.
Ms. Lesniak?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Grover?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 3 is consider approval of code office fees. Can I get a motion?
A motion.
Second.
You can decide on that, Kate. Basically, each year at our organizational meeting, we usually adopt fees relevant to the Parks Department and codes. This year, what was proposed was some sweeping changes that we wanted to dig into a little bit further and get a better understanding of the impact. So we met with the new code enforcement officer, Wendy and I, and we have put together a fee schedule that I think will serve us well for the rest of 2023. So if there's any other discussion?
So I'll just add that we haven't really changed the schedule of fees in a long time, and if they have, they changed minimally. So we really did a thorough review of all of these zoning fees. We looked at the existing, we looked at neighboring towns and what they're using as fees, and we definitely don't want to be the town that out fees our people that want to come into our town to build a home or have a commercial building or put up a pool, a fence or something to that effect. We're happy that all of our residents are here and want to do this cohesively. So I think the thoroughness of our review really shows that we consider our residents first and foremost, and it's not about a more than a revenue maker for us. We don't want to, outcharge our residents. So as Darcy said, I think that these fees are really indicative of that. So I guess I would suggest that you guys take a peek at those fees and let us know if you have any comments once they're on the website. Which reminds me, there was no place for those fees before on the website. Can we make sure that on the zoning page that they're up there plain as day? Mike brought that up.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 4 is approval of the vouchers since the March 29th meeting.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Kate, you have the range of vouchers and the total. We'll include that too in the minutes.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5 is consider a promotion of James Bell to Laborer 2 effective April 12th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I'll throw out there that according to Chris Ordway, the Building and Grounds crew leader, James is doing a great job. He was hired as a laborer 1. He's just about to pass his probation. There's no doubt that he's going to pass his probationary period. Chris has recommended that he receive the promotion. It's a minimal pay raise, I think maybe $1 an hour, something to that effect. So I think it's well worth it for the work that he's been putting in.
Agree. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is CDS Monarch Inc. is here to do a presentation regarding our request for zone change. Potentially. Is there anyone here from CDS?
Monarch,
Okay,
calling once, calling twice.
I'm going to pull that then, Kate. Item 7 is going to be pulled too. We're still soliciting some quotes on the migration to Office 365 and internet penetration testing. Item number 8, consider approval of a donation of the AED machine per the recommendation of the Parks and Rec Committee for the pool at our town park. Can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 9 is set a bid date opening for the new park pavilion to go at our central park. And I'll kick that over to Jason. Oh, I'll say the date and time, April 13th at 10 a.m.
That's correct. The board previously approved me to go out to bids for the new pavilion, but at that meeting, we didn't set a date, so the project's out to bid right now. Contractors have the plans, so we can officially open them next Thursday, week from Thursday.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Jenny. Second?
A second.
Any other discussion from the board? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We do have a couple penciled in items, just because some of them are on a bit of a time constraint. We're going to set a public hearing for the community development application per the engineer's email. Setting the public hearing for the April 19th meeting at 7 o'clock. Can I get a motion to set the public hearing?
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I should have said any other discussion. Nope. Motion carries. Item number 11 is appoint Wayne Bailey as a summer employee at a rate of $16.50 an hour effective April 14th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
We'll probably have a few of these over the next couple months as we fill out our summer work crew.
He's a returning employee, you said, right?
Returning, yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item number 12, our last penciled in item, is we're going to approve our various projects that we have in the works right now and the funding sources that they're coming from. So this will be in the minutes and a part of the on the website. So can I get a motion to approve the capital project and funding list?
I'll make it.
Second.
Second. I'll just read off really briefly. We have several projects in the works. Thankfully, we have a lot of funding from state and federal sources and the county to cover these. So the town has received, I'd say, conservatively since about 2020, $2.2 million in funding for projects that cover the culvert replacement on Connors Road, if you've noticed that's closed, to basketball courts to be added, park pavilions, the work that was done on Village Boulevard South last year, Maple Road sidewalks, and like I said, we'll have this list on the website. And the town only has to match for all of these projects $90,500. So it's an incredible opportunity for the town to get a lot of capital improvements done for very little town investment. So we're just going to make a motion to approve that and have that for the record officially. We have a motion and a second, so if there's any other board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Councilor and committee reports and comments. I'll start with Bob Grover tonight.
Actually, I don't have anything right off the top of my head.
Okay, Wendy?
So I will be heading up the comprehensive land use plan update. So I'm creating a committee and I'm gathering a bunch of people who want to be in part of that. I know Jenny and Mike said they want to be a part of it. Darcy does not.
I'm on enough committees.
Tony Geis, our former chair of the planning board, wants to be involved. I'm going to see if maybe Claude Sykes, who's on our planning board now, would like to be involved. We're going to put a little blurb on the website asking for input from the residents. Any resident in Van Buren who would like to be part of this process, please submit like just a brief email or letter of intent that you're interested. Send it to the supervisor. The information will be on the webpage. We really want to, our comprehensive plan hasn't been updated since 2000, so we have a lot to update. So we really want to do a very thorough job in updating the plan with all the green technology, and you know, we want to keep our ag districts, we want to keep our green space. So anyone who's interested, please submit an email to the supervisor. The more the merrier. I want to try to achieve input from lots of different demographics and lots of different geographic areas in the town. So I'm planning the first meeting probably early May. Darcy had mentioned at a couple meetings back that we did receive a grant for this work, so we're super excited about that. This won't be at any cost to our residents, so that's great. And I guess that's it. So
I would just add, it's probably going to be about a 12-month commitment. So, I mean, just to have I don't know how, you know, whether that means monthly meetings, but I just want to put it out there that it's probably, if you are interested, that it's going to take probably a year of planning.
yeah,
So
I agree. I would say it's definitely going to be at least one meeting per month, and I think after we gather the group together of everyone that's interested, we'll probably break it down to subcommittees to focus on specific areas within the comprehensive land use plan, and let that be like a focus for that subcommittee. And you know, maybe we'll do sub chairs, and that person can kind of run their own meetings as well. But I'm super excited that we're finally doing this. It's been a long time coming, and I hope we get a lot of feedback from our residents on this. That's it.
Okay. Mike?
We had a Parks Committee meeting this afternoon, and one of the, well, more relevant, I guess, topics we talked about was an Eagle project that's going to be done at Van Buren Park. The Scout gave a very nice presentation, Boy Scout from Troop 107. He gave a very nice presentation. We gave him some ideas along with Heidi and Chris from Parks about ways that he could maybe change it a little bit so it didn't conflict with another project that's already, other projects that are already done at the park. So he was open to some constructive advice, I'll say. He's going to be taking a look around the park with Heidi and Chris to see a good location for this particular project. The project itself is going to be a monument for veterans, that sort of thing, veterans or active duty. I think it's going to be nice. We're looking forward to working with them, I guess. That's about it. Unless you want me to speak on the personnel and the handbook. Do you want me to mention that or no?
We're working on updating our handbook.
We're working on updating our handbook.
It really will affect you only if you're an employee here.
Thank you.
Jenny, anything tonight?
I do, actually. Canton Street Bridge over the thruway, the work commenced
I saw that.
last week. And looks like they've got the steel on both eastbound and westbound. And I don't know, I'll look to Doug and Jason to let us know if their anticipated completion is on schedule. But it looks like it's progressing nicely.
It's not on their initial schedule. They had a problem getting the steel, so I don't know what their new deadline is, actually. I haven't heard.
So May, was it the end of May, I think it was, or?
They'd be hard pressed to open that bridge by the end of May.
It's looking really good, though.
So the state is heading up that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to reach out to.
We could
Yeah,
reach out
we
to the
could.
project manager and see if we can get an updated timeline.
I drive by it twice a day, so I could actually stop and see if I can.
Well, I don't know if that's really
Information.
smart. It's a dangerous construction zone.
I got hard hats. Put them on my car. Another thing,
One question relative to bridges, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but it's, the next bridge west is in horrible condition.
The Warners?
I'm afraid to walk on it.
Oh.
Yep, that's slated for replacement as well.
Yeah, suppose it fails. That's how bad it is.
Well, that's
As long as you guys got some kind of idea, because.
Well, it's Thruway Authority.
It's Thruway that's doing it.
I understand that.
They established which one was worse.
Yeah.
Started with that one ahead of them.
Well, it would have some impact on the town, just saying.
Yep, they plan on completing that one and then moving to the next one.
Actually, we're only going to replace Warner's, and we fought really hard
Yeah, I remember.
to ensure that they
Yeah,
replace both.
Bob went to the bat on that big time, and everybody got together and made a big deal about it, but yeah, just want to make sure.
I don't disagree.
Rich isn't so good. Thanks.
Anything else, Jen?
I do, actually. I am accompanying Wendy tomorrow morning to the Canton Woods.
Oh, good, and I hope that they have some ideas for how to spend the county dollars for
I think they
physical
got some
improvements.
good ideas.
Good, great.
That's it.
Thanks, Jenny. Supervisor's comments, that would be me tonight. So, she just had a couple save the dates for some, and I'll give these to you, Kate, so that you can post them. April 22nd is an electronics recycling event. Mr. Magnarelli is sponsoring with Sun King. If you haven't gone to one of these before, it's very efficient and very easy, and I encourage it if you have some of these electronics that are hard to get rid of these days.
Where's it being held?
This is at the Destiny USA parking lot from 8 to 2. You just have to sign up ahead of time, but it is very easy. May 6th, there's going to be a shredding event also at Destiny USA, specifically the pink parking lot off Solar Street from 9 to noon. And then also another shredding event September 30th. So I will give these to the clerk to post on the website. Highway Superintendent, welcome back. We've missed you.
Nothing really. I'm not yet to get back into
Yeah,
the case. I'm busy next week. I did actually speak with the county. They have not gotten their project list done yet for this year. As soon as I get that, I'll inform the board so everybody knows about it. I wouldn't say that, some people might mention that the National Grid is doing work all the way from Oswego down to Lafayette transmission lines. And there's a lot of heavy-duty trucks delivering mats and so on and so forth that affect a lot of our roads. So just keep an extra eye out. I only know that information because they're going through our yard to get to the one in our backyard. But just keep an eye out because they are big, slow-moving vehicles. So there's going to be a lot of, just like always, but that's just another added one on for this summer. Going to be a lot of work going on. So be safe.
Thank you. Engineer comments, anything additional tonight?
Our Connors Road culvert is under construction right now. They're supposed to be setting the backs within the next couple of weeks. And that road will probably be closed for another 4 to 5 weeks while they finish that project up.
Okay.
That's all I have tonight.
Anything from the attorney?
I have nothing. The board doesn't have any questions for me.
We do not. Can I get a motion to adjourn to the regular town board meeting on April 19th?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Polchansky abstains. Just kidding. We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.